The human body is biologically engineered to move, yet modern life traps us in a sedentary state, creating the first barrier to our physical potential. The World Health Organization sets specific baselines to prevent the body from deteriorating. For children under 5, this means floor-based play, 10 to 17 hours of quality sleep, and strictly 0 screen time. Between ages 5 and 17, the requirement scales up. The body needs at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity every single day to build baseline bone density and muscle strength. This chart tracks recommended active minutes by age. Adults 18 to 64 need 150 to 300 minutes of weekly aerobic activity and muscle strengthening. For adults over 65, requirements remain similar, but balance-enhancing activities are added to prevent dangerous falls. These guidelines define the minimum mechanical load the body needs to maintain its structural stability. Without this regular movement, the foundation of the body weakens, making the skeleton susceptible to the warping forces that produce physical deformities. Poor posture, inadequate nutrition, and uneven loads, like consistently carrying a heavy bag on one side, place abnormal, sustained stress on the skeleton. This 3D model shows a healthy spine, which then curves heavily forward at the top. This is kyphosis. It creates a hunchback appearance and actively restricts the chest cavity, limiting respiratory capacity. To correct this forward slump, the body requires opposing tension. Backward bending exercises, like the Dhanurasana or bow pose, stretch the chest and pull the upper spine back into alignment. If the center of gravity shifts too far forward, often due to abdominal obesity, the lower spine is forced to compensate. This extreme inward curve in the lumbar region is known as lordosis. When weight is consistently unbalanced on a single shoulder, the spine will shift laterally to handle the load. This S-shaped distortion is called scoliosis. These misalignments disrupt the body's entire kinetic chain. Any attempt to reach peak athletic performance will be bottlenecked by a compromised skeletal frame. The lower body is equally susceptible to these biomechanical failures. Nutritional deficits in vitamin D and calcium, combined with intense joint compression, warp the structure of the legs. In this skeletal view, the femurs angle sharply inward, causing the knees to collide while standing straight. This condition, genu valgum or knock knees, often develops from early heavyweight lifting or childhood obesity. The opposite structural failure is genu varum or bow legs, marked by a wide outward gap between the knees. Correcting this requires walking on the inner edges of the feet and utilizing poses like Garudasana to retrain joint alignment. At the base of the kinetic chain, the foot relies on a natural arch to act as a shock absorber. When that arch flattens completely against the ground, a condition easily diagnosed by a wet footprint, the force of every step travels straight up into the fragile knee joints. Even the upper body carries these acquired flaws. Wearing excessively tight clothing to create the illusion of a muscular build forces the shoulder joints to roll forward, creating round shoulders. Physical therapy and targeted exercise can correct these anatomical flaws. But the most stubborn, invisible barriers to athletic achievement have historically been enforced by society rather than biology. Look at the immense scale of the crowd in this ancient stadium. Sporting spectacles have existed for millennia, and for nearly all of that history, they were exclusively male domains, built on the systemic exclusion of women. Even with the revival of the modern Olympics in 1896, female athletic participation remained at zero. Integration was heavily restricted for decades. The right to compete required years of resistance. In 1984, Joan Benoit Samuelson won the very first female Olympic marathon, disproving the assumption that women could not handle extreme physical endurance. In India, early pioneers fought through immense cultural resistance to reach the world stage. Athletes like P.T. Usha set the precedent on the track. By the year 2000, Karnam Malleshwari dismantled the myth of female physical frailty, winning India's first female Olympic medal in weightlifting. That breakthrough paved the way for a modern era of dominance. Mary Kom secured multiple world championships and an Olympic medal in boxing. P.V. Sindhu proved that sustained international success was possible, securing consecutive Olympic medals in badminton. Mirabai Chanu added a silver in weightlifting, reinforcing the institutional progress within Indian athletics. And fighters like Lovelina Borgohain continue to secure spots on the Olympic podium. Representation and shifting cultural attitudes have largely dismantled the social barriers to entry, but female athletes still navigate a unique and often misunderstood set of physiological realities. A healthy female physiology operates on a regular menstrual cycle. Menarche, the onset of the first period, establishes a rhythm indicating a healthy biological system. A common misconception suggests that menstruation limits physical performance. In reality, regular exercise helps regulate the cycle. It is menstrual dysfunction, like missed or irregular periods, that points to deeper physiological stress. The true biological crisis for female athletes stems from the intense pressure to perform. This diagram outlines the female athlete triad, a dangerous syndrome consisting of 3 interconnected health disorders. The first condition is osteoporosis. A combination of low estrogen and poor diet strips calcium from the skeleton, reducing dense bone into a hollow, honeycomb structure highly vulnerable to fractures. The second condition is amenorrhea. When an athlete exercises to extremes without consuming enough calories to fuel that output, the resulting hormonal crash causes periods to stop entirely. The third note encompasses severe eating disorders. The intense fear of gaining weight can lead to anorexia nervosa, marked by extreme starvation, or bulimia nervosa, characterized by binge eating and forced vomiting. Mastering these biological and mechanical realities goes beyond academic study. It provides the specific blueprint for high performance. Correcting the frame, protecting hormonal health, and dismantling social barriers creates the environment where human physical limits can actually be tested.